have any self-control, respect for ourselves, why should they respect you? Why should they respect your children? You don't even respect yourselves.
See, this is the thing though, too, is that I think what happens is like how you said, I think HD has said this as well about like birds of a feather flock together, right? So I think what has happened is you have what I'm going to say a small group, because I think a lot of it is the minority, but because they're on YouTube or on IG, is presented as the majority. So when you have a subgroup of people that share like experience, like, oh, women ain't ish because they've had bad experiences with women who weren't necessarily of the same elk, like the level of women that they should have been going after, or vice versa. Women going after men that is not at their level that they should have been going after. And so they continually experience these negative interactions. In their reality, now it becomes all men or all women. And then they get in these spaces, and then they end up having access to each other where they normally probably wouldn't have. But now, since you can access so many people, now they start finding each other. And so now it creates a bigger group of a minority that now sounds like the majority. And when you separate yourself from YouTube, if you really look at your daily interactions, like that's how I had to check myself. Because even I started looking at Black women, some kind of way. Because I'm like, I'm open to listening to both sides, right? So I want to see if what the men are saying is true. So I started like looking at, Black women sideways, but I realized that a lot of the energy that I would receive was based on the energy that I put out. Like I made a conscious effort when I came across Black women, because that was one of the things that I would always hear with Black men in these spaces, to say Black women always look like they got attitudes. They don't look like they can be approached. They carry themselves, they don't smile, they don't seem friendly, they don't da 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 da. So I was, hearing all of that, but I was just like, I know a lot of times for me, when I'm about my business, I have a serious face on. It's not like I'm walking around being about my business and I'm like, you know, like what? No, like if I have, like in my mind, I'm thinking about my list. So I'm like, okay, I'm going over my list. I'm not focusing on other people around me. I'm just focusing on what I need to do. Right. So I think sometimes Black women's disposition is being misread. Right. And so I noticed that I was like, all right, I'm going to be intentional about my interactions. And so if I see, a Black woman, I see every, I'll smile and be like, hi, I always get a response back. It was nothing, never negative, ever. And so I'm like, okay, is it just because I'm another female? They don't feel like I'm trying to get at them or whatever, but I'm listening to what men are saying. But I noticed that when I initiated a warm, like, energy, that it was reciprocated. So I really think a lot of times we're putting these perceptions on the other based on our experiences without actually creating a different energy. So we're putting out like, damn, she looked mean, but if you look at yourself, you're probably not looking receptive either. And so neither one of y'all are going to cross paths where it seems, like, oh, hey, how you doing? Like seeming friendly. And so I think a lot of times being in these spaces, we're projecting our own issues onto other people. And then when they reflect that same energy back, we feel justified in how we feel when we're talking about them. And when we're in these spaces, a lot of times I don't really think it's about really trying to hear what the other person is saying. It's about proving your point and then trying to make you look a certain way or make you agree with me, not understanding that we can see the same thing and have different views. If I have a quarter, but I'm looking at it from this side and you're looking at it from the other side, we're both looking at a quarter and we're both right in what we see, but we can also agree to disagree. Or you can have two truths at the same time. And I don't think we ever approach conversations in that manner.
I agree. The whole thing of two things can be true can help with creating a bridge for people to be okay with the opposite sex. But oftentimes when we have our conversations, men think that they're more right than a woman, and the women think that they're more right than the men. And also, we don't give credence to just because you're not part of the group doesn't mean you can't have an accurate opinion about said group. Because the perspective of men about how women live their lives, there is some credence to it. There's pieces that we're missing that the women obviously have and they can bring clarity to. But if, like you said, when you're serious and you're about your business, you have a serious face on. When brothers are seeing you and then they see another black woman and they see another black woman that have the exact same face, even though you're not intentionally trying to create the atmosphere where guys think that you're unapproachable, we do things subconsciously that tell a story to the people who don't even interact with you. Because it's very easy for people to judge you from a distance because, you know, the first thing that people can do is look at something and make sense of if this is something that I want to engage with. So I think when when we have people that actually like genuinely want to fix things, I think we would get to a better place. But too many times people don't want to fix anything. They just want to air out their grievances. And I think that's where the majority of our issue comes from. The men feel like they're not heard, the women feel like they're not heard, and they just want to bark their feelings instead of say, you know what can we do to fix it? If we had more people that were willing to be like, you know what, here's what I can do to fix it. Do you think that this worked for you? And I think that that would be the small step to start building the bridges for each other to actually start getting to the success that we're looking to get to.